So this name has to make sense for both it without having the task. The functionality with the task is later.
Right.
So it should suggest shadow or oh, there's something else I should sign in front. Showed JJ the abilities yesterday.
Right.
He suggested changes, and I think he's right. So
For the Writsmith or for the Cabaretto?
tab. So I
Alright.
figured characters affected lose max HP damage they would spend on abilities that you do possess. Change to spend that you do not.
I thought that's what it was.
It was
Did we have
different.
it to? So before it was the damage they would deal, right? Now it's the mana they would spend. That is way better.
Now it hits people monsters that would.
Yes.
It's better. Most classes use mana, so the classes that are excluded. The other change is to 10. One of the things that your enemy could do was part of the reason that I really liked your ability, but I didn't go into it very much. Stream. Maybe I glossed over it. Sure. One of the reasons I really liked your idea was that since the rank 7 makes it so character, this character is the bottom focus on them. Made it difficult for, let's say hypothetically, it's an active ability. It's fairly easy for them to.
Right.
They can get out ahead of their personal turn. So some of the play around for that is just waiting for the cast an active and using this. Liked how the 10 made it so that you could replicate, still make it sure it's casting it.
Right. So the big change was really you can only cast it while it's being cast, and you cast for twice
The other
instead of
change,
just having a pool of actives and casting for the active cost.
right? That this should make it more balanced. You can only replicate things that they want you to replicate. Is that they're the other
That's why I like having JJ look over stuff. He's really good at balancing.
the other change is that we made it a free active, so that it didn't take use for the turn. You couldn't use it in it to the rank 7 before,
Mm,
whereas now you can.
that's that's a really good change.
Useful that
Hmm.
so I think he said he would read this class.
I would too. Same with obviously the Cavalier makes me want to play it just by being the Cavalier, which is awesome.
It's also good. Starting at the
I started at performance, and I kind of liked it. Brought me to conduct because it is kind of what the rank 1 is doing in a way. You're conducting people and their damage.
something with of a musical
Yeah. Um, manipulation, handling, uh, guidance, regulation.
sleight of hand.
Ooh, but that sounds more magician-y,
Yeah,
but it still fits really well.
the synonyms: deception, deceit, scomatage, gerdames, gesture,
Artifice. Hmm. What about artifice?
to magic. Is there artificer and it's a fairly established sort of kit for this. Just fits with it.
Contrivance.
So too
Long.
too long, too
Contrivance. Yeah, 3 syllables. And yes, I did totally just clap those syllables out.
little too. I think third gamble. It's
Gambol.
interesting, but save it. Anarchist.
What about cavort? Cavort, it's right on gamble. It's yeah, it's like
Kind of like
frolicking or prancing, but
kind of like it's with covert.
mhm,
So
it's a little bit playful too.
sounds work. Full is kind of sir,
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
but it's
Taxarolic.
a little too close to rap. Smith.
What about Rollick? Hmm? Mm, okay. What about how do I pronounce this? Kibitz.
Jews.
Wow.
Jew is that if
Oh yeah, it's Yiddish. To offer gracious advice to an outsider.
it's the reason why I don't use words like Shabbat.
Mm,
Because even though they can make skill names, they're so tied over, at least in my opinion. It's nothing.
advocate? Maybe not here, but
something with.
Mm.
That's why I liked cavort. Certainly a mystic word. This person is about the poetry of movement. This direction. This class was about the poetry of storytelling. Cavalier. That's how I thought.
Yeah.
It's like fame. Slight mischievous or necessarily that fame. Slight tinge of distrust attached. Mas- Masquerade would be so easy.
Yeah. I think that's gonna. Even if we did use that, it's gotta be something way later. Even though I kind of like it on the rank 3. Either rank 3 or rank 7. Enact. Adopt buff. Contrive. Adopt effects.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Domino. Cannons are priest. It's Lord Master.
Hmm.
It's because he who has first disposed his pieces becomes the master. It's in geopolitics is from 19 in reference to what happens when you set up a room. So, sort of how we've made the word cabaretto. You could do something like domine. Take the word domino and fit better. It's not
I like that.
to go and certainly somewhere else.
You could either place hold it at 1 or put it on a back burner note.
Sound is fine, but it's too much.
Yeah.
Where would that fit?
What was the? Let me pull this up. Domino. Meeting Hood with a cloak worn by
It's rank
priest.
7.
But the connection is not clear because he was first. Yes.
Is there a way to accent the E's? Otherwise, people.
It's probably somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in. If you have a numpad, it is a numpad symbol. It's one of those combination keystroke things.
And accented
Or you can just copy and paste an accented E.
in
Which accent did you want on it?
the little says an A.
Ooh. That's not what I meant to do.
Turning letters with insert symbol. It's not a word, but insert special character. Long
Long E. I think that's the A.
European. Symbol. Symbol. On the insert special character.
Yeah.
This is cool. Sadly, mob.
Beard.
Uh,
Huh. I never would have known that.
Ian Coop. Accent pro. Type it. Let's go to left. Finish. With cute. So, 00 E.
You just put in a bunch of them.
Oh, Z.
Domino. I like that.
So that's 7.
Oh yeah.
Let's go back to sod.
Uh,
Sod is 2.
what about words along the lines of entice?
Keep searching for
Coax. Uh, cajole. Cajole, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, cajole. uh, Tempt.
It's not. These aren't bad. It's less of like a personal. Hmm, it's more.
What about inveigle?
Hmm.
No, I can't even take that one seriously. That sounds too funny. Especially when the nice person says it on the website. It just sounds like an evil bagel.
Let's
Allure?
let's end this one around 3 p.m.
Yep.
and save my voice for what it's worth. Can't say exactly. Don't work perfect. It's just that
I understand the feeling behind that, though. What about glamour?
that reason I don't want to use that is in the Wolf of disguises they called.
God damn it. Excuse my language.
Okay, cuss all you want. Stream to children yet?
We don't have our stream flagged as inappropriate for minors.
Well, we it's not like we cuss that often.
No. But we did kill those kids that one time.
It's that one time. Of course, I'm saying that hypothetically. Something which I didn't.
Yeah, right. But apparently beard is a noun for decoy.
Super Chinu.
Or a mirage phenomenon.
Which is kind of close. Can we find something that's a bit good?
Phantasm?
It's still too magical. It's more of an illusion that. I'm trying to think of how people in the 12 would describe this sort of thing. It seems like people in the present day, or perhaps in vaudeville style shows, would use the word phantasm to describe it as a sort of advertising tactic. How would they advertise back then?
Kind of like a fallacy.
See if I can
I don't even know what that word even means.
use the word
Quibble.
to argue.
Ah.
To buy a straight.
Bilk.
Something I should have posted and ask historian subreddit. Theaters advertised Johnson before records, sort of thing. obituary entries for people, actors, 17. Like Ardor. Spelled that.
What about ploy?
It's closer. Still a little bit too pragmatic, but very close to the idea.
Subterfuge?
Too
I feel like we covered that one yesterday.
looking for something that describes subterfuge. Syllable. Too.
Wile. Stratagem, maneuver, ruse. Gambit? No. What about chicane?
It's it's not a pretty thing. Those just joining in, just lost my voice, so I won't be talking very much today. We're doing another stream on how to name abilities. Geez, that it won't be a teaching stream. Logan and I are doing research right now. Delart. Careful about, since we've already got something like Domine verging too far into Italian representations of theater,
Yeah.
Spanish representations of theater. Trying to keep most of this stuff acultural. It doesn't make sense to take inspiration from the languages of these cultures. Lack of surviving records and texts, a low literacy rate of the general position of the clergy to some types of performance. Surviving sources on medieval. Oh, church put on the list of the list says a way spreading this doctrine virtually illiterate. Studios, yeah, you guys are streaming. Storm, steam powered. Unfortunately, I lost my voice this part, so doing naming today again. Won't be particularly interesting. If you'd like to join us, we won't stop you. Glad to have you. Thanks for watching.
If you've got any ideas for names or any kind of questions about what processes we're taking or where we are right now in our wow, I can't think of the word. Oh no. That word totally flew out of my head, but I think you get the idea.
1 for 10.
Yeah.
Smith's names yesterday. A little bit of a long. Just try and get as much time studying Middle Ages words that were
I really couldn't find much of anything on advertisement. It's pretty much just a messenger came out into the middle of the town square and said, "Hey, there's going to be a performance," in his most American accent.
used, guys.
"Hey, guys, there's a performance going on over here. Stop by tonight, capiche? Don't want nothing bad to happen to you." Eh?
Everyone showed up. What else did they have?
Die at a young age.
So
So Steam Power Bear says, so where do you start with your design process? Do you start with a type of game, the setting, the classes, the story?
me, very beginning of all of it, started came up with a system so that we could improvise story, sort of like so the system evolved because I had to have something. I didn't have a D&D book, so I had to make something like was playing on the screen. And actually, at that time, I'd never. So I basically approximated what I ended up looking a lot more like JRPG. This was about 5 years ago. So we started with the mechanics, and then the story evolved from having to make stuff up on the fly. The setting evolved to type of game I had sort of wanted to do an RPG. So I guess that was like just the bit of sort of natal stages was what type I wanted. I think you have to start with the type. You just put in the words. Logan might have a complete process though.
Oh, I mean, if this is the design process for this specific game, then I mean, I didn't really have a hand in early stuff, but I can take that and apply it to what we've been doing since I've joined with the characters, and I definitely have to first look back at what kind of game we've been going for, its setting, its the implications of the world, how a lot of the people are probably going to interact with each other, what kind of person, like personality of the character we are building, how the moves, their abilities would really stem from them as they were trying to do them, as they were learning how to do these things. Uh, I mean, yeah, I personally need a lot of backstory on stuff before I can easily design something. But if I don't think I've ever started a lot of my own design. And again, I think that reason is because I need to lay out backstory, and a lot of the time I just want to get right into it. So I'm glad I've started in this where I've started.
So you prefer to design first and then let the story evolve.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
You make your character, and you follow conventional character design. Why does he look like this? Why does she look like this? What is the purpose of this item on their design? Uh, it's function over aesthetics all the time.
So is that from your
Definitely, because it's easier to think about a character in the sense that you're going to animate it, because it helps you confine what you need the character to do, what it should look like. How long is this person's arms? Do they need to be this long? What's the reasoning for that? Is there a growth deformity? Is this just how the people look in whatever setting you're trying to put them in? But yeah,
it's pretty cool seeing disciplinary skills are skills in machine carries design work. For instance,
like
you
the
wouldn't believe
the immense amount of patience.
I don't fish. It would help.
I think that's the only thing I liked about the course I was taking in college was that I was first upset that we were learning a whole bunch of different stuff instead of one specific thing. But over time, I realized that all these things were completely necessary. You learn in detail something to apply it in a minute sense on whatever you're doing, and it gives you greater understanding of what you're trying to do.
Some value. Just when I was going through, I was always thinking I'd rather have
It's,
been doing.
I mean, as soon as you get out, you're like, ah, dang, that is what I wanted to do.
Say Unity is for someone who's say very difficult.
Hmm.
Say you want to start with something like Game Maker Studio. Coding and design do not have to relate necessarily. Of course they do. If you want to design a game, you can design a game complete with it. It's much easier to test video games. So you don't have to produce every single entry. But if you test, or rather, if you make enough paper design to see how things balance before it's all or a system or sort of sees, okay, that's probably, and of course it helps to test it. But I would say just this isn't necessarily getting at you specifically. Design a game. Don't let it stop you. Programming, please, please do. God, so much.
Yeah.
So,
That's not to say you can't, you know, hire a buddy or someone who's very skilled in programming, because that will help just as much.
just be careful. Check in on the lesson to learn.
But it's not to say that not knowing programming will hurt you. There is definitely something to be gained from knowing not really how to program, but the structure of programming, even with something that's going to be pen and paper. A lot of times, programming is if this, then this, and that has a definite follow through to pretty much any course of action.
We try and orient our abilities in such a way that they read if this, then this.
Hmm.
Studied Magic the Gathering at all. Cards read that. They have a syntax that they hold to, logic that makes the cards very easily. And in my opinion, you should design your own in the same way, necessarily with the same design sensibility, with the same syntax, because they've made a master class of how to make something complex, easily readable. And that'll make it easily readable to whichever programmer, if you pick up programming yourself, wants to implement classes somewhere. It's great. It's fantastic.
That rudimentary stuff is gonna go surprisingly a long way in your design process, even if you only get that far in coding.
I would say take as you can stand taking. Not something that interests you. Don't yourself, of course. It is something that you try and use it on a daily basis to implement some of the stuff that you, some of the design work. First person shooters, for instance, then make happy three. Doesn't have to look, doesn't have to feel actually confident. Say that of any discipline, design, programs.
The, yeah. The more you do it, the better you get. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
It's not to say that it's not to say that if you design something every day for 10 years, you'll end up design.
Yeah.
Necessarily true. There's no reason to think you wouldn't be. Just, I think one of the things that bothers this is more of you something is when you work with a designer who that are 10 commandments handed down from the heavens, unalterable, changeable. You're just there to add ideas to their masterpiece. Sort of work to work. It's something that I personally try to.
You gotta take the time to understand that you could be wrong, and then if you are wrong, admit when you're wrong. See things from other people's point of view, or you're gonna stunt your own development, not just on your game or whatever you're doing, but personally.
As always, the first advice I got from extra credits, which is fantastic. They're fantastic content provider series on design that you should go watch. It's like 90 on YouTube, and every single one is worth it. But the very first one I think is called Fail Faster. Completely agree with. You want to fail as much as you can, as quickly as you can, until you get to something. Run with it until you fail again. But always be willing to fail. Never hold something up as this golden, virtuous thing. Like, if you look at the Cabaretto right now, I think the class is pretty good. It feels pretty good. I enjoy how it plays, but really the whole identity of the Cabaretto hinged on one change that we made on Red. We
Yeah.
built from there. I mean, it could have gone in a completely different direction and just as fun or just as interesting. This isn't some unalterable thing, even though I'm pretty unwilling to alter it. Just finished it.
Yeah, at this current stage, we're it's not really that we're not wanting to alter it. It's we need to take a step back from it and focus on other things. Where it is right now is a solid point, and there's always going to be opportunity to go back and look at it again.
The other thing is that you have to balance failing faster with deadlines. One of the cool things about starting designing is that you never as you want as many cool things as you want. When you give yourself a deadline, you start running master some level. Certainly failing is something that breach your confidence. So we've tried to make failing into a success in some ways. I don't know as much as I probably. Logan knows to throw out ideas, throw out stupid ideas fairly frequently, and stupid.
They sure are.
Don't say that. I mean that as in it
No,
could be in a,
I'm always willing to throw stupid ideas because even if they're a bad idea, it's always gonna help you get to the right idea.
it's nice to know where the boundaries are for something. You could throw out something completely ridiculous, like character have a bass fishing mini game, cast a spell.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I don't like that. But oh, it'd be really cool is if they had like an interactive rhythm component to certain things that they cast. And maybe it wouldn't work for this game, but oh, that's a cool mechanic for another game.
Well, that gave me a whole other idea for another game.
Right. And you don't have to start on a game. Get to the point with this one where it's shaping up to make into a demo. Just play around. Find something that you do like. I was talking with JJ, the other guy, just with design stuff a few days ago, about MMO healing and because you're always in service of you're a bee working in service of the A objective. Objective's goal is to kill things.
You can actually watch a highlight on that. It is one of our Cabaretto videos entitled "The Cabaretto and Why Buffing Isn't Always Fun."
That's awesome, but thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
should be within the first 30 minutes.
if you want to go watch that, get a better idea of saying that. One of the things that would have been interesting or made it interesting is if there was a rhythm based component to healing, because then it makes it more of an objective in and of itself, something fun with. You're jumping up and down to power up your heal spells. JJ was talking about how he used to jump up and down just to make it more. But if there was some kind of reward for it, some sort of metric based on how well you stayed on rhythm, or if a chorus built up around how well you were chaining abilities and staying on time, then that creates a very unique class identity. Something that's very fulfilling in its own right. Also helps your ally. I think in general, something is working in service of something else. You should make it actually interesting and unique. So coming up with mechanics that are rhythm based or starting with the fishing is something stupid, lead to something interesting.